Hello, this is Jeff with the Valhalla Ventures, reiguideservice.com, reiguideservice.com. And today I wanted to talk about how to get contractors and trades. I wanted to get real specific. It's not going to take me a really long time to get through this, but if you take some notes, I don't have any of those like pop-ups that are fancy and all that kind of stuff. No scrolly things. I got other stuff to do, so I don't have time to learn how to do all that stuff at the moment. Maybe at some point I'll take the time, but for now you're gonna have to. I got props. You have to do it on a notepad. That's what anyway, so here's what I do. Whenever I'm looking at a project, I will go out and take a look at and do a walkthrough. Mostly the reason that I'm doing the walkthrough is because I am a professional, I am an expert at evaluating properties. So I feel comfortable doing that for myself. Now, a lot of times, and almost all the time, right before I go ahead and purchase something, I'll hire an inspector. That's someone that's going to come in and give me all my answers for like life safety issues. They're going to handle everything like climbing through the attic and, you know, testing out your systems and your mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. I guess that would be all included in that. They're going to look for stuff like signs of foundation problems, roofing issues, framing issues, egress issues, all that kind of stuff, right? They're really going to crawl through and get the nitty gritty, and they're going to give you a list. With that list is not going to be any kind of maintenance stuff. You know, they're very specific, and I'm going to have this information on my website, a sample of what it is an inspector does, like a line by line of what it is they look for, and then give you kind of an idea of what it is that I look for whenever I'm supplementing that. Now, if you don't have the ability to supplement it yourself, you can hire someone who is a professional that just does estimates, a professional estimator. You can hire someone and tell them, look, I just need a line item for these things. There's a lot of different ways you can go about finding out what that extra list of supplemental items are. Realistically, you can do it yourself. There might be some things where, or some situations where you come across where you can't do this until you do that, which you'll just have to figure out in time. So obviously, there's going to be a couple more steps until you get to a point where you feel comfortable in assembling these lists, knowing orders of things, that kind of stuff. And if you go to the website and look, you'll see I put things in a real nice, neat order for you and try to make it so that as long as you follow along, then you'll be fine. And so then what I do is I now have two lists. I have like my life safety stuff, my outer envelope, roof, foundation, all that kind of stuff. And then I have my maintenance stuff. I want to paint, I want to put in flooring, I want to XYZ, whatever. And so the problem with both of these lists are just problems. They have no solutions on them. They don't have any suggestions on them. They don't have any referrals on them. And the reason for that is because inspectors can't, and you really shouldn't be getting any of those things from someone that you're paying to give you professional advice, unless that's part of the referral system, give you some list of people. But I really don't think you need that part, and here's why. The reason why for me is pretty simple, because what I do is I break this list down. Let me readjust myself here. I didn't have time to put on a real nice undershirt, so I just put on a jacket over it. Don't read it. Anyway, what I do is I have this nice list put together, and I break everything down, and I kind of combine the two lists, right, of need, want, that kind of stuff. You got to really know what you're talking about a little bit on this inspection reports, because some of the stuff that's going to be on there is going to be things that have fallen outside of code, but there's a lot of things that fall outside of code, so you're not in current code or whatever, however you want to phrase that, that you don't actually have to fix. You don't have to bring it up. The reason you don't have to bring it up is because it's been grandfathered, blah, 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 blah. So what I then do is I take this list of the things that I really want to have done. These are my priority items. Of course, you got the stuff that's from the inspector's list of things that you should fix because you're going to be asked to fix it if you don't fix it, and you don't want them coming up with the price of what the evaluation of that cost is, because if they're going to go find the most expensive person, get that estimate, but then they're going to hire the cheapest bid. So there's this big gap of money that you're going to be losing out on. if you allow them to do that on any of that stuff. So what I do is I put this list together of everything that needs to be done. What's going to maximize my profit? What's going to make me the most amount of money? There's the have-to-do items, and then there's the cosmetic items. Now what I do is, if I have some plumbing work that needs to be done from this list and this list, then I just combine them. And I try to get a general idea, and now I know, but still, pricing is changing constantly, so I have to, keep up to date with this stuff. And the way that I do that is I just make some phone calls and whatnot, like, what do you charge per fixture for install? And, do you have a linear foot price on blah, 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 whatever it is. You just kind of, feel it out a little bit. And then what I do is I'll put together that scope of work, everything the plumber needs to do. And when that scope of work for the plumber is done, what I have is I have what I want done in a line item. If there's any specifics like I want Moen fixtures, or I want Glacier Bay fixtures, or I will provide the fixtures, any of that kind of stuff. The more data, the more information that you can provide, the better you are. And you say, so here's what I want, here's what I'm going to provide, here's what my requirements are, and here's about what my budget is, and here's about what my timeline is. Can you do it? And if you write that up and you send it out to 10, 15 plumbers, that might take you an hour and a half to write something like that up. Real detailed, not too hard. The research might take you a little longer, but you're going to have to know what you're talking about before you meet a trade out at the job site. But now what you've done is you've taken an hour and a half to write up this full scope of work, detailed everything you want. You've really evaluated it. There's no miscommunication. And you're not wasting time making phone calls to a bunch of trades and trying to see if they'll show up. And if they do show up, maybe they provide something. Maybe they don't. Maybe they know what they're talking about. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're not available during your timeline. All of these different elements are avoided by just doing that scope of work. And knowing what it is that you want, how much you want to pay for it, when you want it done, knowing that it's so incredibly helpful. It does so much to help not only with your bottom line, but your free time, your mental stability. Because it's not a big deal if people say no, or they want to negotiate. All of that stuff can be done still, but you're working with now a list. If you send it out to 10, 15 people and 4 or 5 people respond saying, yeah, I can do it, now you have something. If you have nobody out of that whole list, then you can call some of those people up and say, hey, what made you not want to bid on this project? Was it timing? Was it budget? Was it scope? Find out what it is, and you might be being unreasonable and might have to go back and reevaluate. And that's what anybody's going to have to do. That's what a contractor is going to have to do. That's what, the right way, and the right way to do it is to make sure that you're line iteming and detailing every single solitary element of what you want done. From how many coats of paint, do you want primer, do you want, which rooms do you want done? If you can get to the details of square footage for each room, like this room has this many square foot of flooring with this many this percentage of overage for waste and cut, and if you can get that detailed, it helps out a lot on accomplishing projects on time, on budget, and on sanity. Keeping yourself nimble and happy. And the thing is the people that you work with are going to be a lot more professional. You're not going to have a lot of guys that just show up in a truck with their cousin and, a ladder. You're going to have real professionals that have the ability to look at the scope of work, look at a project in its entirety. I include stuff like photographs, floor plans if I can. Like I said, the more information that I can provide to give them no reason to not just give me a yes or a no, the better. Because then if I have 2 or 3, cool, then I'll meet those 2 or 3 out there, and talk to them and let them see it. Make sure we're right where we need to be with everything and reviewing it. But other than that, there's no reason to sit and waste a lot of time and get frustrated. If a guy doesn't show up or a girl doesn't show up that you've hired off of your thing, oh, well, I got 2 or 3 more waiting that wanted to do it. It's really putting together a solid, concrete plan up front and then just executing it throughout. And if you have that really solid plan up front, it does take extra effort. It is kind of annoying. It is a bit frustrating. Sometimes they can just plain suck. But it's, oh my gosh, so much easier once you do it and you go through the whole project and you have your timeline, your budget, your scope of work, your calendar lined out. And that's what I do for a lot of people on these larger projects. I really enjoy it. I'm more of a capital investor into smaller projects, single family homes, small RV parks, small storage, that kind of stuff. But on these larger projects, I really like putting together a full scope of what all needs to be done, how it needs to be done, who needs to do it, what the requirements are. And then I even like to put in some other options for people that are hiring me, and the same way that I would do it for myself. Because if, my budget for what I'm going to spend, I try to spend all of it. And I try to save as much as I can and then spend all of it. And just to be clear, what I mean by that is, if I'm just determined my budget is $20,000, that's my budget. I'm going to spend all $20,000, no matter what. If at the very end of the project, I have a couple $1,000s left over that I didn't spend on the project, maybe I go back and start tipping some of the trades that did work, because obviously they really did great, and they did way more than what was expected. And giving them a little something extra is going to make them answer my phone call next time, and is definitely going to make them want to come out and give me bids. And that makes my job easier, because over time you get more and more and more of those people that have seen how professional you are, seen how you really know what you're doing, and you're going to avoid all the people that see how professional you are and want to avoid that because they're not that professional. The more professional you are, the more you're going to see that the types of people that are fly-by-night, scammers, BSers, they're not going to waste their time. They know they're not going to get away with it with you, so they're going to avoid you. And how you can do that, you can give off the air that you know what you're doing, and with a full scope of work and that kind of stuff, you can do that. Anyway, that was my hint. You can do that with any trades. I know I only gave the example of plumbers, but you can literally do it with flooring companies. You can do it with drywall companies. I personally hire a company to hang drywall. If I have like a whole project that needs to be done, I hire a different company to hang it than I do to tape, float, texture, and paint. I hire one company to hang. I hire another person to tape, float, texture, and paint. All of that together, because I don't want the painter blaming the drywaller that taped and floated it because it looks bad. I don't want you see what I'm saying? And then good hint for that is, I make people sign off on stuff before they get started, that they accept the job site in its condition, that there's no elements of the job that will stop them from being able to perform their duties the way that they would like to be able to perform them and give me the outcome that I am paying for. I.e., if you have someone that is painting and doing tape, float, texture, and paint, whatever, the day they show up and they look and see all the drywalls up, they are accepting the job site in the current condition. They're going to make all those walls flat. They don't get to come back on the last day and say, I know none of these walls will look exactly flat, but that was the fault of the guy before. No, they've accepted that condition. They've said that they are going to do that, and they're going to do that, and holding them accountable. I mean, I would try not to do a lot of that finger pointing stuff. Try to be real nice about it, and if you establish that all beforehand, it makes it way easier to deal with if that ever does become an issue, because you did have it in writing. Document, and be a pro. This is Jeff with Viva Hala Ventures. Be blessed, bless others. You can find me at vivahalaventures.com or reguideservice.com, reiguideservice.com. Both of those go to the same place for now. Eventually they will go to two different places, but what can I say? It does what it does. It is what it is. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. You can always find me on all the social medias. I don't know what all of them are, but if you want to find me, just type in the thingamabobber, and if I'm there, I'm there, and you can send me a message. I'm on the Insta, the Face, the link, I'm on all those, okay? And so just comment. If you're seeing this, you can comment or whatever there too if you have any questions. That's it. Have a great day. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I will try to upload one more video before the end of the week. Today is Wednesday. Kind of debating on what the topic is going to be. I have a couple of ideas. The board behind you that you can't see is just covered in them. And I just got to figure out how to make some time to discuss them. Anyway, I'm going to go enjoy walking around in my fancy suit jacket and my shirt that you can't see. And look over some projects on the old interwebs thing back there behind me. Bye.